You ever feel like your paycheck used to go a lot further? Like groceries, gas, rent, everything's up. But your money's not? Let's be real. Inflation is robbing you, quietly, every single day. And here's the thing. Saving more isn't gonna save you anymore. In this video, I'm gonna break down the best investments to protect your money in 2025. Not just theories, but real, practical moves you can start making today. You'll learn why cash is the worst place to be right now, where smart money is going during inflation, and 5 investment strategies that actually beat rising prices. Let's talk about one of the biggest lies you've probably been told your whole life. If you save your money, you'll be safe. Sounds responsible, right? Keep your money in a savings account, avoid risk, be careful. But let me hit you with some truth. In 2025, saving without investing is like locking your front door while leaving your windows wide open. Here's the deal. Inflation is a silent thief. You don't see it, you don't hear it, but it's constantly eroding your buying power. Let's break it down with a simple example. Imagine John. He's 32, works full-time, and just hit $20,000 in his savings account. Feels good, right? The bank pays him a generous 0.01% interest. That's basically nothing. Meanwhile, inflation this year is sitting at 4.2%. That means his $20K is actually losing over $800 in value just for sitting there. Now think about that for a second. He's being taxed by inflation for playing it safe. And it's not just John, it's millions of people doing the exact same thing. Because we've been trained, especially in the US, to associate cash in the bank with security. It feels tangible, familiar, safe. But safety without growth is a trap. You're not just missing out on returns. You're literally watching your purchasing power dissolve. 1 year, 1 paycheck, 1 decision at a time. Here's what most people don't realize. Inflation doesn't wait. It compounds, just like interest, but against you. And while you're being cautious, the cost of living keeps rising. Rent, food, energy, healthcare, all of it. So unless your savings are growing faster than inflation, you're falling behind. Now, let's be fair, it's not your fault. Most schools never taught us about inflation, let alone how to invest. And if you grew up during or right after the 2008 financial crisis, your parents probably told you to play it safe. So yeah, keeping your money in a savings account felt smart. But 2025 isn't 2008. We're in a different game now. And the rules have changed. You can't just save your way to financial security anymore. You've got to make your money work. Otherwise, inflation will keep working against you. And if you're thinking, okay, so where do I put my money instead? Good, because in the next chapter we're diving straight into that. But first, ask yourself this. Is your idea of safety actually costing you more than you realize? Look, let's be real for a minute. If the idea of investing makes your stomach tighten a bit, you're not alone. There's this fear, this hesitation that creeps in, especially when you hear words like market volatility, risk, or crash. And honestly, that fear didn't come out of nowhere. If you grew up in the US, especially if you're between 25 and 50, you were probably raised during or after one of the most traumatic financial moments in modern history, the 2008 recession. You remember the headlines. You remember your parents fighting about money. You saw people losing jobs, homes, retirements. Even if you didn't fully understand it as a kid or a teenager, you felt it. That emotional blueprint stays with you. So, now, when someone talks about investing, especially in a time when inflation is running wild, your brain doesn't just think logically, it reacts emotionally. What if I lose everything? What if the market crashes again? What if I invest at the wrong time? These aren't just questions, they're fears wrapped in the memory of instability. And the irony? That same fear keeps people duck. It makes you cling to cash, to the illusion of control, to the myth that waiting it out is the smart move. But here's the truth no one tells you. Not investing is a risk too. And in today's economy, it might be the biggest one. You see, Wall Street and financial media love to throw around words like risk tolerance and portfolio allocation, and for the average person, it sounds like code for this isn't for you. But investing isn't just for millionaires in suits or people with finance degrees. It's for anyone who's tired of watching their paycheck shrink while prices go up. And this hesitation, it doesn't make you weak or unwise. It means you've been burned, or you've seen people get burned. You were taught to avoid pain, not pursue gain. But what if that lesson is outdated? What if the real danger now is staying still? Because here's the thing. Inflation doesn't care about your fears. It doesn't pause while you figure it out. It keeps moving, keeps rising, and it keeps punishing those who sit on the sidelines. So what do you do when you're scared to invest, but scared not to? You educate yourself. You shift your perspective. You start to understand that investing isn't gambling. It's strategy. It's the tool the wealthy have used for decades to grow their money even when everything else feels uncertain. The truth is, you're not bad with money. You're just carrying beliefs that don't serve you anymore. Beliefs like, investing is only for experts, or, if I lose money once, I'll never recover. But here's what's powerful. Beliefs can change, and when they do, so does your future. Because once you realize that risk isn't the enemy, inflation is, you start playing offense instead of defense. You start thinking like someone who's building wealth, not just surviving paycheck to paycheck. And that's exactly where we're headed next. Because now that we've cleared the fog around fear, it's time to talk strategy. You don't have to jump into the deep end, but you do have to get your feet wet, ready to see what actually works in 2025. Let's go. Here's the mindset shift that changed everything for me, and for thousands of people who finally broke out of survival mode. Money isn't the goal, it's the tool. And inflation? That's not just some boring economic term, it's your wake-up call. Think about this for a second. If every dollar you earn is losing value by the month, why are you still treating money like something to hoard? Saving is not bad, but saving without strategy? That's a slow death. Because inflation doesn't just take your money, it takes your choices. It shrinks your options. It steals your future without ever making a sound. So what's the move? How do you protect yourself when the dollar gets weaker? You invest. Intentionally, consistently, strategically. This is where most people freeze. They think investing means becoming a stock market genius or buying real estate with 6 figures in the bank. But I'm here to tell you, beating inflation. 2025 isn't about picking the next Tesla. It's about understanding where your money can grow while everything else is getting more expensive. Let's break it down in real terms. One of the most underused weapons against inflation is something called TIPS, Treasury Inflation Protected Securities. Think of them as government-backed IOUs that adjust with inflation. That means if inflation goes up, your investment adjusts with it. It's not flashy. It won't make you rich overnight, but it keeps your money from bleeding quietly. Now let's talk real estate. You don't need to buy a house to benefit from real estate. There are things called REITs, real estate, investment trusts, that let you invest in property markets without owning a single building. And guess what? Rent prices rise with inflation. So when inflation goes up, these assets usually do too. Then we have the stock market, which everyone either fears or overhypes. But if you invest in companies that provide essentials, food, utilities, healthcare, they often pass costs to consumers. That means they adjust naturally with inflation. These are called defensive stocks, and while they may not skyrocket, they're built to endure. Gold and commodities, still relevant. Not as glamorous as crypto, but they've stood the test of time. When people panic about inflation, they flock to what's real. Gold is tangible, limited, trusted. And if you want something simple that blends all these moves, ETFs that track inflation-protected assets. These are low-cost, easy to buy, and they diversify your protection without you needing to babysit your portfolio. See the shift here? You're not trying to outsmart inflation you're aligning your money with forces that benefit from it. Because here's the truth, the economy rewards those who act and punishes those who wait. You don't need to time the market. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stop thinking of money as something to hide from risk and start treating it like a soldier you send out to fight inflation for you. Every dollar you invest with intention is one less dollar inflation can eat. So ask yourself, is your money just sitting there getting weaker? Or is it finally working for you? And if you're ready to make that first move, the next part is where we go from mindset to method. Let's build your plan. So now you're probably thinking, okay, I get it. Inflation is eating my money and investing is the solution. But where the hell do I even start? That question alone already puts you ahead of most people. Because the truth is, the majority don't start at all. They overthink, they wait, they tell themselves, I'll look into it next month. And in the meantime, prices rise, rent climbs, groceries cost more, the dollar weakens, and their silence costs them more than any investment ever could. But here's the good news. You don't have to overhaul your entire life or become a finance expert overnight. You just need a simple structure, a starter strategy that gets your money moving in the right direction. Think of your income like a pie. You don't have to throw the whole thing into the market, but you do need to carve out a slice that fights inflation for you. Let's say you've got $1,000 to start. Even just breaking that into simple categories can change the game. You put $500 into a broad market ETF, like one that tracks the S&P 500 or includes stocks that historically perform well during inflation. These are companies that keep growing because they meet basic needs: food, healthcare, utilities. They're not sexy, but they're solid. Then maybe $200 into a REIT ETF. Real estate you don't have to manage. You're letting your money ride on rent prices going up, not down, which they tend to do in inflationary times. Add $200 into a commodity or gold-backed fund, something that holds its value when people start losing faith in fiat currency. And finally, $100 into tips or an ETF that tracks them. That's your inflation matching layer, like putting a financial raincoat on your cash. And here's the part most people miss. You don't need thousands to start. You just need consistency. Whether it's $100 a week or $50 every paycheck. When you automate these deposits into your brokerage app, yes, apps like Fidelity, Schwab, Robinhood, or M1 Finance, you remove emotion from the equation. You stop waiting for the perfect time and start building financial momentum. Slowly, quietly, then all at once. Because investing isn't about timing the market. It's about time in the market. The longer you wait, the more you lose to inflation. But the sooner you start, the more time your money has to grow and protect you. This isn't about getting rich tomorrow. It's about making sure your future self doesn't look back and wish you'd acted sooner. It's about stepping into ownership of your money, your mindset, and your freedom. So don't overcomplicate it. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need a real one. And now you've got it. Next, let's wrap this up and talk about what this all means for the life you're actually building. Because this isn't just about investing, it's about reclaiming your power in an economy that's constantly trying to take it away from you. Here's what I want you to sit with for a moment. Inflation isn't coming. It's already here. You're not preparing for a threat that might show up someday. You're already in the storm. The question isn't, should I do something? It's, how much longer can I afford not to? Because let's be honest, you didn't watch this far because you're casually curious. You watched because some part of you knows that playing it safe has stopped feeling safe. That working harder, saving more, and hoping prices stabilize just isn't cutting it anymore. You feel the pressure. The slow squeeze of rent increases, gas prices creeping up, that grocery bill that somehow always surprises you. It's like no matter how hard you try, the finish line keeps moving further away. But here's the part that most people miss, and where you get to pivot. You don't beat inflation by outworking it. You beat it by outsmarting it. You don't need more hustle. You need more leverage. And investing the right way with the right mindset is leverage. It's your way of saying, I refuse to let this economy bully me into staying broke. It's you reclaiming control in a system designed to make you passive, dependent, and afraid. Look, maybe no one taught you this stuff growing up. Maybe you didn't have wealthy parents or a college professor explaining how compound growth works, or why your savings account is a trap in disguise. That's not your fault. But staying in the dark? That's on you now. Because now you know better. And once you know better, you owe it to yourself to do better. Reprogramming your money mindset is the first real investment. Not stocks, not gold, not real estate. It starts in your head and in how you see risk, time, and the value of your own future. If you got anything out of this video, even one moment that made you pause and think, damn, that's me. Don't let it stop there. Don't just consume this information and scroll to the next distraction. Act. Pick a platform. Open the account. Put in the $50, the $500, whatever you've got. Start. Because you don't attract what you want. You attract what you believe you deserve. And if you believe you deserve financial peace, freedom, options, then you've got to show it. With action, with discipline, with commitment to something bigger than fear. Inflation isn't going to stop. But it doesn't have to stop you either. So yeah, hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Because I'm not here to sell dreams. I'm here to hand you the blueprint. One shift at a time. Your future self is watching. Make them proud. Let's zoom out for a second. Strip away the stock charts, the inflation stats, the technical stuff, and ask the real question. What kind of life do you want your money to support? Because investing isn't just about growing a portfolio. It's about growing a future that actually feels like freedom. It's about rewriting the story that's been running in the background for years. The one that says you'll always have to struggle, always have to settle, always be one emergency away from starting over. Think about the people in your life. The ones you love, the ones who depend on you. What would it mean if you could give them more than just survival? What if you could offer them stability, choice, and peace? Not someday, but starting now. That's what beating inflation is really about. It's not just protecting your money, it's protecting your options. Your right to choose where you live, how you work, who you spend time with. It's about building a cushion so that life's punches don't knock you out. They just make you more intentional. But here's the deeper truth. The world we live in isn't set up for you to win by default. The system rewards those who know how to play offense with their money. The ones who understand that sitting still is not neutral, it's surrender. And this is where identity comes in. Because the real shift happens when you stop seeing yourself as someone who's just trying to get by and start acting like someone who's building generational wealth, even if you're starting from zero. That's powerful. That's uncommon. That's you stepping into a role most people are too afraid to claim. Every time you invest, no matter how small, you're telling the universe, I believe my future matters. Every dollar is a decision, and decisions stacked consistently shape destiny. So if you've made it this far, you're already different. Most people stop at the headline. You went all in. You sat with the discomfort. You faced the fear. And now you've got something most people never find: clarity. You know what's draining your wealth: inflation. You know what protects it: investing with purpose. And now you've got the framework to do something about it. So the only question left is, will you actually follow through? Because this isn't about trends or market predictions. This is about your life, your values, your legacy, and legacy doesn't start one day. It starts the moment you stop outsourcing your future to chance and start building it with intention. So take the step. Make the move. Because while everyone else waits for the economy to calm down, you'll already be ahead. Not because you got lucky, but because you got serious. And if you're ready to keep growing, I'll be right here, walking with you through every mindset shift, every strategy, every next step. Let's turn inflation into your fuel, not your fear.